Hello again, and welcome to this, the final instalment of our collegiate shag-based preparation for partnership course. This has been running all the way through this COVID-affected year when we've not been able to teach dance face-to-face, and the idea of it has been to give a really firm grounding in lots of footwork and footwork variations in collegiate shag, so that when we can dance face-to-face, teaching you to partner up and to communicate will actually result very quickly in you being excellent collegiate shag dancers, because a lot of the tricky stuff that you have to have in your feet, you already have. This last lesson is not going to be about new footwork variations. It's going to be about dancing to different types of music, particularly fast and slow, so the extremes. We've mostly been dancing somewhere in the middle. But before we do it, let's just warm up in our usual way, any steps you like, to a moderately paced piece of music. Wait for the verse. 6, 7, 8.
The Beaujolais is good. We say one bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. Overtake the Beaujolais and good. We say one bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. I've been thinking about you all day, like a plane across my mind. You're in first place in the love race, and I am left behind. You're the only one I look for, the only one I see. Things have changed, now I see what you have left for me. But take the Beaujolais, it's good, but it's one bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. One bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. You could have poured me a Cote d'Ivoire or Chateau de Papa, but you know Beaujolais is my handicap. So when you went to the supermarché, you chose the cheapest bottle they got, a 5-pound bottle of Gamay Beaujolais. But take the Beaujolais, it's good to say one bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. But take the Beaujolais, it's good to say one bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart. My veins and I can't get it out. The wine in the bottle leaves my thirst to drought. All I need is wine and women and laughter. Say water the day after. Things have changed, now I see what you have left for me. One bouquet of Beaujolais is good to say. One bottle of Beaujolais and a broken heart.
Okay, I described that as moderate. I think moderate to fast, or just losing any fitness I had during this extended COVID lockdown. I mentioned in the last semester that in the modern era, shag is often taken to be a fast dance. It's the stuff that shag enthusiasts do when fast music comes on, and the rest of the time they're doing other things like Lindy Hop. But actually, back in the day, it wasn't. Shag was the dance you did to this kind of music. And people would be dancing shag to music a lot slower than I just played, and also a lot faster than I played. And what I want to explore this time are the tricks for adapting what you already know perfectly well to those two things. So, to be clear, I'm not trying to sell shag as a dance that you can do to any music. Very slow music, bluesy music, is not going to fit. But a lot of the reason for that is not really to do with the speed, it's to do with the flow of the music and the smoothness. Shag, however smoothly you do it, however much you try not to bounce, shag is quite a kind of punctuated dance, because you have these sort of flicky, kicky things. they're quite sharp movements. So it would be really odd to have a really very gentle, dreamy piece, but be doing this kind of thing to a gentle, flowing, dreamy piece, whether it's fast or slow. Similarly, at the very high speed, I mean, for me, the dance of very high speed is in Shaggett's Balboa, but that happens to be because I'm a Balboa enthusiast, and will certainly be teaching Balboa again when we get back face to face. But there are plenty of pieces which even Lindy Hoppers would think, oh, this is really quite a slow piece, which are perfectly suitable for shag. And I want to talk about the ways that you adapt to doing that. So when music's slow, make the most of what's in the moves. So what I mean by that, for example, and this is all stuff we've sort of covered before, I'm bringing things together under a useful umbrella for dance styles. So for example, for the most simple basic, instead of just going step, flick, you'd definitely be doing your prep flick to make the most of that. And for the flicks, probably, I mean this is all choice, but probably instead of just having your foot kind of forward in a kind of just flat way, the way that I've often been dancing, and I was dancing mostly in that warm-up piece, you can do the kind of gas pedal stomping. So you have this specific action of sort of leading with your heel, as if you're pressing, your foot against a pedal or pressing your heel down towards the floor. Because a lot more, if I do the same thing at the same speed, this 1, 2 is quite dull compared to this 1, 2. I'll do a 6 count. So you see that on both sides. So it's the difference between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Note as well for the 5, 6, instead of just going step, step, I definitely went step, step. I took the legs out somewhere. And again, if you want to, you can have this kind of gas pedal look there as well. So it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Totally up to you. People who are dressed in typically male clothing tend to do the gas pedal a little bit more than people who are dressed in flowery, sort of flowing dresses, because I suppose this doesn't look elegant. But it's totally your choice, because there can be a lot of fun being sort of, having your hair very elegant and your clothes very elegant, and then doing things that are definitely not elegant with your body. That can magnify what you're doing. Similarly, on the double kicks, you can be doing a definite kind of gas pedal look with the double kicks. With things to the side, you can make them really wide. And with everything, you can make it within the constraints of who's dancing next to you, and within the constraints that it's not making your body do this too much. You can make everything quite wide, at least this wall is going to act as a permanent constraint for me. Similarly, when you're going backwards, you can take this back a long way. You can also use more complex kinds of moves. So, for example, you can do things like front pull, which we've done before, but then follow it with the opposite on this side. So front, pull, prep, front, like that, so that you end up with a sort of type of move. And that sort of thing, and all of the variations, in other words, making your 6 count, your 8 count do different things on the slows, that can fit very well for slower music, because you've got time to set these things up, you've got time to enjoy them, your partner's got time to understand what's going on, and the audience, if there is one, if there are people watching you, have also got time to process that you're doing interesting things. What you probably want to avoid doing is a lot of very sort of minor stuff on the spot. Unless the music's in a break, probably don't do things that are very small and repetitive. Although if the music is smooth, then things like the Susie Q, if there's a smooth passage in the music, you may want to do that deliberately, because that takes away from this sort of spikiness of shag and goes into smooth. Similarly, this sort of thing takes away the spikiness. Okay, I'm going to put some pieces of quite slow music on, and just practice, just do whatever you want to, and as usual, I'm going to do stuff just to move, but the idea is not that you follow me, it's just that you play yourself with ways of enriching moves when they're slower.
'cause my last 2 bits comes up. 1 banana split and all the cats join in. Drop your jack in the old jukebox, play your favorite disc. When you dance with the Bobby Sox, you dance at your own risk. Rip, everybody swing, yeah, swing, till the rafters ring and all the cats join in. All the cats join in. Drop your jack in the old jukebox.
Okay, so that is definitely slow. You could dance blues type dance or slow drag to that. It would feel quite slow in Lindy. So hopefully you convinced yourself that even if somebody's DJ's put on music that's getting all the blues dancers to get up in excitement, something like that, you can still join in and you can still make Shag look great and feel great. Let's try another one from what I suppose has to be one of my favourite bands, because it was listening to this lot when I was very small that made me rather like jazz music. Six, seven, 8.
Oh, sweet and tender, lady be good. Yeah. Oh, lady be good to me. I am so awfully misunderstood. Oh, lady be good to me. But dee dum, sweet dum, bum, dum, see you, baby, dee dum, sing it. Good dee dum, bum, good dee dum, dum, oh. Hey, I'm just a lonesome baby in the wood. Oh, let it be good to me. What are you doing? Sing it to us, boy. I'll tell you, I'm just a lonesome baby in the wood. It'll be good to me.
So that was an example that was pretty smooth to start with and went to a very smooth internal section. Let's try another one that's quite smooth.
You told me that I was like an angel. You told me I was fit to wear a crown. so that you could get a thrill. You put me on a pedestal and then you let me down. Let me down. You told me that I'd be wearing diamonds, I would have the fastest car in town. Made me think that I'm on top, and then you let the letter drop. You know you let me down. Let me down. I walked, I cried a rainbow, I clung on to a star. You had me up in heaven, that's why I had to fall so far. I was even looking for a cottage, I was measuring for a wedding gown. That's how I got cynical. You put me on a pinnacle and you let me down. Let me down. You let me down.
Now, nobody putting together a collection of music for a shag dance would think of including that, at least I don't think they would. But the point is that if you're going to a general swing dance and that plays, and you don't have other slow styles that you know yet, but you know shag, it doesn't stop you dancing. And actually, I think dancing slowly with shag can teach you a lot more about accuracy. Because you can't fudge things when you dance slowly. You know, when you're dancing so fast nobody can really see what's going on, you can cover up a lot of mistakes. Whereas when things slow down, your balance in particular needs to be really good because there's time to wobble around and lose it. Dynamic balance doesn't help you as much. Let's try one more piece of a somewhat unique character.
My baby don't care about the latest shows. My baby don't care about fancy clothes. My baby don't dance, he don't watch TV. My baby only cares about me. And though I'm flattered by his dedication, my baby, he don't have a lot of conversation. My baby don't care about no football game, but I kinda do, so that's a bit of a shame. My baby won't read or go see a play. My baby ain't got nothing to say. In the rest of the world and its social arrangements, my baby shows a worrisome lack of engagement. Come on, baby, read a book sometime. You want to go to a museum, baby, or a gallery? No? Hey, baby, what do you think of those proposed reforms to parliamentary self-regulation? Pretty wide-reaching, no? Baby, nothing? No, baby. Don't care about cars or polar exploring or going to bars or playing guitars. My baby's so boring. My baby don't care about the news or sports. My baby don't think no original thoughts. My baby don't write or go to the flicks. My baby is as dumb as a brick. I said my baby is a bit of a prick.
Okay, stalwarts of EUSDS will recognise that 3 of those pieces are pieces that Katie and I use when we're teaching Lamanu. Lamanu is a very slow sort of partner dance that moves at this sort of speed, very, very close hold, very slow and very dreamy. But yet, it is just about possible to take collegiate shag down to that speed. As I said, you would not fill the DJing list for a collegiate shag party with this stuff. But you can dance at this speed, even if all you know is shag. Let us now go to the other extreme. Fast music definitely is shag territory, especially now when people sort of associate shag with fast dancing. There are lots of dances that can go fast. Lindy Hop can go extremely fast. There are some very famous 1930s films of very high-speed Lindy Hop, particularly if you look up A Day at the Races or Hell's a Poppin', H-E, I think a single L, Z-A-P-O-P-P-I-N-G. No, there's no G at the end, sorry. If you put in Lindy and those words on YouTube, you'll see the famous clips. They're very fast. But generally, most Lindy Hoppers prefer not to go quite to those speeds unless they're in performance, because it's sort of tiring and because you lose a lot of the kind of... There is a sort of grace to Lindy Hop, and that's lost. Shag can go faster without losing things, and Balboa also can. So, when the music's very fast, you sort of want to do the opposite. What you still want is accuracy, and especially around the leading and following. You still need your balance, you still need precision of the movements. If you're leading, your movements need to be precise so that the follower can detect them, and if you're following, your movements need to be precise so that you're not giving weird balance changes back to the leader, which will then kind of force changes in the leader's body weight and it'll all fall apart. So, keep it simple. That's the first thing. So when the music's very fast, for example, that's when you may think prep, flick may be a bit too much work and just flick is fine. Simple repetitive things work, whether we're 6 count, flick, 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 or whether we're 8 count, repetitive things work. 8 count has a slightly less energetic feel, I think. So if you're feeling that music is very fast, I would advise 8 count, because having the quick quicks paradoxically let you slow down, because you're not doing decorative stuff in the quick quicks, at least you don't have to. That's another point. Instead of going something like, as we were doing before, we were sort of doing step, flick, D, doing these big quick quicks. When the music's very fast, you may want to go step, flick, step, flick, step, 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 flick, step, flick, step, step. You can do the decorations, but do them so that they feel natural. Don't force them. Another really critical thing about dancing fast in any style at all is try to leave your centre of mass where it is. Certainly when you're dancing solo, or if you're just dancing with no relative movement between you and your partner. So in shag, as I've said, we're often dancing facing our partners, either close hold or at this sort of distance with the partner, also with a hand out like that. And we're just facing them, doing our stuff, not moving across the floor. When that's happening, keep your own centre of mass as still as possible. That is your whole body, but particularly this bit. Try to keep that above exactly the same point on the floor. So what I mean is, don't be doing this, I'm going to exaggerate. Don't be going da, because I'm moving my whole body here, and that's taking energy. Instead, be really careful that you're doing all of this stuff. So all of the action is below the waist, and this is staying rock steady. That's also a much better look. I mean, that's how it's supposed to look, but be really careful to do that, because then all you're doing is moving your relatively light limbs, and you're keeping your centre of mass where it is. I'll talk more about this when we're partnering, but for the moves where there is relative movement, particularly where partners are coming together, going around each other and going away, which is very common in Lindy Hop, less in shag, but it's there, then there are tricks you can use for conservation of momentum that mean that the sort of energy you put in at the beginning of a move, you get back at the end. We'll come on to that when we're partnering. Again, you can do anything you like with the decorations, but if this is too much effort or thought, that's one just to keep the foot movement simple. Repetitive things, like step, 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 step on the spot, that hangman thing, that takes almost no energy, so you can use it. Remember, there is the 8 count form that goes slow, slow, quick, 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 so you can have 4 quicks together if you just want a bit of a rest. If the music is at all breaky, you can rest just by stopping. And remember, you also have a few other things. So there are the breaks where instead of going sort of, flick, 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 step, step, we went ha, ha, step, step, ha, ha, step, step. That slows everything down. You don't want to dance like that all the time, but if there's a good place in the music, it is quite a restful thing to do. And again, although this may seem odd in fast music, it's a slow move, if you do things like this, you can make this recovery last for ages before you're back to ga-la-la-la-la-la. So if you're kind of thinking, and you really need a rest, do that kind of thing, and take ages to recover, and then hit the high-speed stuff. And it's fine, because the contrast between that really languid recovery, you can make it last a verse if you want to, and then the blisteringly fast dance again, looks really good. Just parenthetically, of course, I was joking when I was doing this, if you are actually feeling unwell at any point dancing because you're dancing too hard or too fast, just stop. Yeah, just stop. Go drink some water, go have a rest. The whole point of this is enjoyment. Okay, I'm going to put on some faster music, so try these things. Keep everything small, keep everything simple, keep your center of mass in the same place, and use moves that minimize movements if the music lets you.
Hey, Mr. Bassman, you got that certain something. Hey, Mr. Bassman, you said that music thumping. Do you? It's easy. When you go 1, 2, 3, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. You mean ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Yeah, hey, Mr. Bassman, you're on all the songs with a ba-ba-ba-ba-boom-boom and a ba-ba-ba-ba-boom-boom-bam-bam. Hey, Mr. Bassman, you're the hidden king of rock and roll, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. No, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Oh, well, it don't mean a thing when the leader's singing, or when he goes, Hey, Mr. Bassman, I'm asking just one thing. Will you please teach me? Yeah, the way you sing, 'cause Mr. Bassman, I wanna be a bassman too, ba-ba-ba-ba. Like this, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Now you. With me. Well, it don't mean a thing when the leader's singing, or when he goes, Hey, Mr. Bassman, I think I'm really with it. Hey, Mr. Boom, 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 really did it. Come on, Mr. Bassman, now I'm a bassman.
Okay, stop the tape if you want a moment to get your breath back. Let's try another one.
It's gonna miss me, honey. Some nights it's gonna be so lonely. Miss my hugging, miss my licking, Mrs. Biggin, far away. You're gonna be so lonely. Just when you call me babe. No, honey, you always had your way. When you leave me, you always gonna leave me on this little baby. Some of these days.
Okay, again, if you need to take a rest, just pause the video and do. I'm not sure whether I do at the moment. Okay, we're going to go into one last piece, which is much used in DJing fast swing music, Jumpin' at the Woodside by Count Basie. Six, seven, eight. practice more of those. I mean, I think it's better to practice the fast music in short chunks so that reasonable accuracy remains than get so tired that you end up just making a big mess of it and getting disheartened. And then you can extend the short chunks as you want to. Doing those sort of speeds with partners is difficult. At the very least, you and your partner need to get through whole songs at that speed without feeling totally dead at the end. Because if you're getting exhausted, then lead and follow will fall to shreds. This sort of stuff is at the extreme end. That last piece was 240 beats a minute. They've all been similar. The slow pieces that we were dancing were about 60 beats a minute, and 100 and something, sort of 160-ish, is sort of the moderate speed that we've been using for a lot of our practicing. Okay, this is the end of the preparation for partnership series. I will be back, and I hope so will Katie, in the period after the Easter break, but before the exam season, to teach some strolls. There are lots of strolls, of jazz strolls standards that are already on the USDS website, beautifully taught by members of the committee and by others. What we're going to do is to teach some of the less known strolls, or at least less known in the dance world. So when swing dances really happened, when they were part of everybody's Saturday night, not just dance fanatics, but everybody's Saturday night, it wasn't dances like the Shim Sham and the Jitterbug stroll that would get people to be doing jazz strolls. They were way too complicated. You had to be a dancer to do those. There were simple things, like the British Parade Glide, for example, where everybody could get up on the floor and do it. So we want to teach you some of those because they're sort of being forgotten, but really socially they were the core of strolls. And the Shim Sham and things were show-off moves for proper dancers. And then we'll also teach you some other things like the Worcester Walk that I've mentioned before, or the Edinburgh Stomp, which have been choreographed, and they're beautiful. They're complicated, but they're beautiful strolls. And they were choreographed by specific people whom we'll credit at specific times as specific dance groups. And there's a risk that they'll be forgotten, and we sort of want to keep them alive by putting them onto these recordings and encouraging you to learn them. Okay, so that was a trailer. This is the end of the preparation for partnership, and I look forward very much to meeting you face to face, teaching with Katie and showing you how to put everything that you've learned all the way through these 2 semesters into partner dance. And we'll get you dancing partner shine very quickly from the foundations that you've built yourselves now. Okay, enjoy the AGM next week, and then have a great Easter break, or spring break, or whatever we're supposed to call it. And I shall see you again with the strolls after that. Goodbye for now.